We begin tonight with American democracy in peril as the country already looks ahead toward the 2024 race for the White House. Former President Trump working harder than ever to spread his big lie that the 2020 election that he lost was stolen.
So the big lie is, unfortunately, alive and well in the fever swamps of the far right.
First off, folks, let me be very clear tonight. The election in 2020 was rigged and stolen. All the madness we see from the Biden administration, 2 million illegals, rising gas prices, unbelievable inflation, the brink of war. All that started right here in Georgia when our governor caved and allowed radical Democrats to steal our election.
Former President Trump's big lie continues to dominate headlines. This week, he released a statement saying Republicans will not vote in the midterm and general elections until alleged voter fraud in the 2020 election is, quote, solved.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and there's a new wing in the Republican Party. And while a whole lot of these vile, sacrilegious, anti-American, treasonous scumbags support the insurrection and overthrowing democracy so the little crime ring can reign supreme, there is a segment that takes things even a little farther yet. There are people who cower completely before Donald Trump, kiss his ring, and pledge obedience. They've been programmed in 2022 to campaign on one thing and one thing alone: save face for their master by doing nothing but pushing the big lie.
We start tonight with the party of Trump's war on democracy amid new details on how concerned the nation's top general was about an unhinged, lame duck Trump.
What Chairman Milley was trying to do, as we show in the book, is contain a national security emergency. And as Bob said, he was reading people in. While these calls with General Lee were held on a top secret back channel, they were not secret. This was not someone who was working in isolation. He was reading people in the national security emergency. He wasn't going rogue. He was not going rogue. He was reading people in throughout the national security and military community, trying to contain a situation and a president he believed was in serious mental decline.
So think about this. He was trying to contain a president he believed was in serious mental decline. Trump stewing after losing and in his made-up mind believed the election was stolen.
President Trump's conduct alarmed everyone, nearly everyone, in his inner circle, his administration. He could very well run for president in 2024. And this system, the American system, tested all the way to the brink, could be tested again.
The thing that eats away at Trump's psyche is the fact the man is a loser. He loses at everything he attempts. But true to his con man form, he puts up a front, a game of make-believe to pretend it's all false. He was cheated. He's not the loser. Everybody else is the loser. I'm going to take my ball and run crying to mommy.
Trump just launched his own social network. It's called Truth Social, and it's basically a copy of Twitter. Trump, of course, has been banned from Twitter along with all the other major social networks since last year when, if you remember, he incited an insurrection.
Donald Trump's app Truth Social is off to a rocky start after two key tech executives quit following a troubled launch in February.
In 2020, when Trump became the biggest loser, it was more than his frail mind and twisted ego could manage. His never-ending quest since that time has been to propagate the big lie as far and as wide as possible. Truth Social, the foolish, failed social media platform, is nothing more than an obvious attempt to brand the big lie and sell it as a useless product, asking people to soothe little Donnie's bruised ego by logging into the truth and giving their fascist father a warm hug so he can pick their pockets in that single-sided loving embrace. And the sad thing is there are a few people out there perverted enough and just plain dumb enough to fall for this. And these are the people Agent Orange is recruiting to run for office. Trump doesn't give a crap about conservatism or even the Republican Party in the least. He cares about his minions saving his face, worshiping him, bending the narrative that Cittadini is not a loser. Evil Republicans who would love to Shanghai democracy but have an ounce of brain matter are begging him not to make the 2022 midterm elections about his brutal loss in the 2020 election. But Trump doesn't care. It's not about them winning. It's about him winning. He wants candidates to run strictly on a banner of the 2020 election being stolen, so let's get in there and rig the electoral process so we can pick our own winners. And guess who they've pledged to pick? See, that's the thing with these morons, and it proves why every Republican is an imbecile. A dictatorship is only good for the dictator. It's not a hard concept to wrap your mind around. And while the brain-dead MAGA morons are fine worshiping a demigod to their own destruction because they simply know no better, Republican office holders are similarly so blinded by greed that they'll sell out America itself for their own fleeting shot of power. And every one of them would end up regretting that to the end of time. Do you think that their savior, Donald Trump, is going to relinquish power to them? Hardly. It's a cult crime ring that the Tangerine Tyrant is building. It's what he's built his whole life on. People who will be complicit with him in court hearings, in tax evasion, in false advertisements, bribery, extortion. And it's not for some philosophical ideal. It's for Donald Trump to make himself that great golden cow, untouchable and immaculate. Sounds a little bit like Russia, North Korea, his very own idols, doesn't it? It will be fascinating to see this tug of war within the petty crime circle that is today's Republican Party, because you can bet Trump is going to play the big lie card to his dying day, while the other Republicans lust after his mindless MAGA followers, and they'd gladly stab him in the back if they didn't think it would turn on them. But they must be careful to handle that mentally fragile base carefully. That's the Republican Party, a posse of honorless thieves ready to throw each other under the bus when opportunity strikes, and always throwing the American people under their feet within their every action. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.